Hello again, many thanks for joining us. My name is Ernest Minu. Let's settle for the details now. Health experts in the Ashanti region say they are seeing increasing anxiety disorders and depression, especially in young adults, linked to the fear of COVID-19 as Ghana continues to see a surge in cases. They reveal many of young patients have conditions stemming from fear of contracting the virus and losing their livelihoods. Ohemin Terry of our health desk has more in the following report.
Meet 24-year-old Frida Ejay. She is among many young people whose social life has been affected by the fear of contracting COVID-19.
My name is Frida Ejay. I am 24 years old and I live in Kumasi. I'm a service personnel. Recently, there's this COVID-19 issue. It's very, very, very scary, especially for me. Even the name causes panic to me. It has affected my personal life, social life, and even work life, to the extent that I can't even sleep, I can't eat well.
Unlike many others who are seeking psychological care, Frida is not. She hopes to wake up one day to see COVID-19 disappear.
Right now, we are hoping for a cure. If there is a cure, we know that there is hope. If not, I don't really know what to do.
Ghana has, as of Thursday, June 4, 2020, recorded 8,885 COVID-19 positive cases with 38 deaths. Ashanti region has seen its cases rise in recent days to 1,452 with 17 deaths. Out of the number, about 1,000 of the infected are between 10 and 39 years. Doctors say the trend is inspiring fear, which is affecting the mental health of many young people like Frida.
When we recorded our first 2 cases, in fact, I was really scared. That day I didn't come to work. I was sleepless.
Those who do not already have mental health issues have started having mental health issues. Just the direct effect of the COVID. The majority of them come with anxiety issues.
At the specialist psychiatric unit of the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital, doctors say they are seeing more COVID-19 mental health related cases. Daily reported cases have shot up from 10 to about 30.
Those who already have diagnosis, most of them are relapsing, and for various reasons. Some of them are afraid to come to the hospital setting, to even come for their regular reviews, because they believe that the hospital is a front line. It's where the COVID cases are, it's where the virus is, and so they don't want to even come. They wait at home until they've run out of their medication. So our old clients are relapsing. Some are coming with comorbidities. Somebody that we were treating with depression will now come in with full-blown anxiety disorder. Some of them have had businesses breaking down, going down, and they begin to think. So somebody you were managing for maybe schizophrenia, and then now comes in with depression. So our mental health issues have been on the rise, both old cases and especially new cases. We are getting a lot of new cases altogether in this pandemic era.
The surge in cases is placing a strain on the already overstretched facilities and staff. Dr. Owusu, who is also Vice President of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, sums up the frustration of caregivers.
We are honestly overwhelmed. As mental health workers, we know our limits, and so we've put ourselves into teams. But when you come on duty, you realize that it's really overwhelming. If it has not tripled, maybe quadrupled, because we now even have to deal with not just patients who have tested positive and have suddenly become anxious. You have to deal with their relatives. You have to deal with the healthcare provider. So if one person tests positive for COVID, there are about 4 others who suddenly start developing anxiety symptoms that you have to tackle immediately before it progresses into something more severe. And so the parents, siblings, they live with the spouse, the healthcare provider that took care of the person, all have to be brought to be seen at a goal. So our numbers are probably even quadrupling.
At the regional level, the Mental Health Directorate says mental health cases, including generalized anxiety, has gone up. Depression, which did not show in the first 5 cases in 2019, now sits third in the psychiatric cases recorded in the first quarter of 2020.
If you look at the figures as compared to 2019, you can see that the cases are increasing. Because in 2019, from January to June, we had 5,180 cases. That is new cases of mental illness. Then in 2020, from January to April, we have 4,022 new cases. So you can see that we have 2 more months to end up with the half year. But if you compare the figure to the 2019, January to June, you can see that this figure is a bit higher.
Experts warn the number of COVID-19 related mental illness could quadruple in the coming months. The situation calls for immediate attention. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohimenteria reporting.
Now, let's go into the phone lines now and speak to a psychologist on this. Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry is the head of the psychiatric unit at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, and she joins us. Hello, madam. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsdesk. Rather worrying situation that we are seeing in Kumasi. I wonder if you have a fair knowledge of what is happening nationwide, because you are in touch with your colleagues elsewhere.
Yes, good morning, Roland. Good morning to your
Ernest here.
listeners. Ernest, good morning, Ernest.
Yes.
I am sure that this is not a rise that is just limited to Kumasi. I have not specifically taken numbers from my colleagues, but
Definitely.
the general impression is that even within the country and beyond the country, there has been a general increase, especially in anxiety disorders, that we can directly relate to this COVID-19 pandemic.
Would you say the lack of education, so to speak, is partly to blame for what we are witnessing in Kumasi especially?
I think education is going on, but we should do more. When you look at the entire pandemic and how it is being tackled, mental health has been relegated to the background. WHO recommends that as part of the treatment, people who are affected should be given psychosocial support. When some of these issues are implemented, even at the national level, it triggers down to every district, every region, which will diagnose patients with COVID-19 and give them psychosocial support right from the beginning. And because that aspect, the psychosocial aspect, the mental health aspect is being left out, we are getting more people getting anxious. As far as I am aware, some centers are doing very well in terms of the psychosocial support, in terms of the mental health aspects of this pandemic. But some people either are not doing it or they don't even have the expertise to do it. And I think that it's about time the government involved mental health aspects in this whole pandemic.
And yes, can you make the points, please? Hello, madam.
Yes.
Yes. So I was saying that especially with young people, I mean, when you look at the statistics and the figures we're recording, it tells you that quite a number of the people who are testing positive are young people. Could that also be another reason why we are seeing such disorders, psychological issues with young people? Could that be a reason?
Well, I think the figures, the age range we are seeing in Kumasi does not reflect what is happening everywhere in the country. And I don't think the age is directly related to the incidence of mental conditions. The different mental conditions we have seen on the increase cuts across all age groups. The elderly are afraid as well as the young people. When you take young people, for instance, their lack of information or enough or adequate information about mental health issues is probably what may land them in mental conditions like anxiety and depression as a result of the pandemic. And when I say that, then it's because we have not done enough education about COVID. We are doing some, but I think it is not enough.
For people who already have issues, mental health issues, conditions that they are receiving treatment for or going through therapy, whatever it is, how would you recommend that they conduct themselves within this period, and especially for people around them, parents, siblings and guardians, people who are taking care of them? What would be the advice to such people?
Our advice to those who already have a diagnosis of mental condition and are receiving care to be consistent and compliant with their treatment. When it is time for review, some people miss their appointment just because they are afraid to even come to the hospital setting. They miss their review, then they run out of medication. Before you realize, they relapse. There are other people who, out of the anxiety that comes with this pandemic, are resorting to wrong means of coping, wrong coping mechanisms like taking in excessive alcohol and substances of abuse. We are also encouraging people that anytime they feel overly anxious, they should contact their healthcare providers or their mental health care providers. And then again, for the entire country and the people in the community they live with, stigma has become one of the big issues we have to deal with as part of this pandemic. If people do not feel stigmatized again, then the fear will be taken away, which will ripple down to stable mental health. It will take away the anxiety that goes with the condition. And so everybody has a part to play in all of this.
Thank you very much. That is Dr. Ruth Osuentri. She is head of the psychiatric unit at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, bringing us some more perspective on the issue of psychological and mental health issues associated with COVID-19. Now, some youth groups in the Bekwai constituency of the Ashanti region have disputed claims the area has been neglected by the incumbent New Patriotic Party, that's the NPP government. Now, some residents had earlier accused the Member of Parliament for the area, Joseph Osei Owusu, and the Akufo-Addo administration of neglect, with claims the constituency has received little or no development from government. But in a press conference, the youth group made up of market women, taxi drivers, associations, among others, say the claims do not reflect the reality on the ground, and that the current NPP government has done better in the constituency than previous governments. Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Their concern stems from the fact that since His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo took over as the president of this republic, Bekwai has not received her fair share of the national cake, and that by every means, whether fair or foul, Right Honorable Joseph Osei Owusu should be changed. We, the above listed groups, find this very unfortunate and outrageous, to say the least. We, the good people of Bekwai, especially the youth of the constituency, are more than satisfied with the monumental development going on across the constituency. Since the Fourth Republic, our constituency has not received such a massive development than we are seeing today under the able leadership of Honorable Joseph Osei Owusu.
Spokesperson for the group, Eric Esubonting, cited construction of Kokobin, Senfi, Dominasi, Ajemenso Trunk Road, Bekwai Town Roads, Asansu, Feyasi Roads, Kokofu Asamai Roads, among others, as evidence of infrastructure development in the area.
Under road infrastructure,
now, let's go live now to the Ashanti region. My colleague Ohime Nteria is on standby to bring us some more on the situation at Obom, where a number of supporters of some disqualified aspiring NPP parliamentary candidates are hitting the streets to protest the party's decision against their choice. Now, let's go to Kumasi now. Ohime, tell us about the situation where you are. Hello, Himi, if you can hear me, we know there's a protest there. Bring us up to speed. Apologies, we're unable to get to him interior there. We'll bring you that update in Kumasi, where we know that there is a protest by a youth group there. They are protesting, challenging. They are not happy with the decision of the party to disqualify their preferred candidate for the upcoming primaries set for June 20. And the New Patriotic Party's Conflict Resolution Committee is also dealing with at least 78 petitions. We'll bring you more on that. Let's return to Kumasi and speak to Ohimin Terry. Ohimin, tell us about that protest there, where the youth are not happy with the decision by the party to disqualify their preferred candidate in the area.
Yes, Evans, a while ago we had information that police have stormed Noboam community in the Jabe municipality of the Ashanti region, where some supporters of the MPP have canvassed and amassed themselves here against the decision by party leadership to disqualify two of the aspiring candidates in favor of the incumbent MPP MP, the person of Amapoma Boateng. So the supporters of Francis Owusu Echao, a mining consultant, and Alex Kwesi Opoku Opon say they have picked vital information that there have been machinations and attempts by the regional executives to disqualify these aspirants, and that it's not something that they will not accept. And so this morning, they prepared themselves, came up with a sheep, a bottle of schnapp, and at the riverside, this is where we are now, the Asuoso riverside. This is where they poured libation and invited cases on anybody who will be involved in attempts and machinations to disqualify these two parliamentary aspirants.
Ohime, do we know what the ground for disqualification is?
Now, it is too early because, for instance, details of that decision is not out yet. These supporters have been speculating. They say they have picked information that these two people will be disqualified to allow the incumbent MP to go unopposed. And armed with this information, for instance, they mentioned one key member of the party who made a comment on radio yesterday that the MP is likely to go unopposed, and this is what has angered the supporters. And just a few minutes ago, they had information that if they spend more minutes here, they could be in danger. So all of them have dispersed. Some have come from Bonfa, some also come all the way from Jabin, and then some other parts of the constituency. And we are told these are polling station executives who are not satisfied by the decision of the party executives to disqualify these two parliamentary aspirants. They mentioned in particular Mr. Francis Owusu Echao, the mining consultant, who is not contesting for the very first time. This probably is his third attempt at the party's parliamentary seat, and they think that this is the time for him to be also elected to represent the party at the constituency level in parliament. So for him to disqualify with one other person, that is what has angered the supporters. So they have cursed anybody who probably will have a hand in the disqualification of these two aspirants to allow the MP to go unopposed.
I wonder if you're able to tell us more about this mining consultant and his work in the constituency. How popular is he?
For the supporters, he's a very popular man because this is not the first time he's eyeing the seat. This will be his third attempt, they say. And he's somebody who has been in touch with the party executives, MPP party members, and they've been speaking good of him. So they believe for somebody who has been with them, even at their doorsteps, he's been with them at funerals and all that, and they want him at this time around to be given opportunity to represent them in parliament. And that is how come they are not happy that this is somebody who has been a lot of help to the party. He has provided all that the party needed to nurture itself at the constituency level. And so they would have wished that he's given the opportunity, he's given the nod to contest, and even if he loses, then they will be satisfied. But to say that this man and one other person has been disqualified at the vetting process is something that they are not enthused at all.
And you mentioned that police stormed the area. Is that to suggest they didn't seek permission from the police to protest, and have there been any arrests?
For the party supporters, their action was not hit the streets per se, but to go to the riverside and perform this ride. So the indication is that yes, they didn't pick any police permit to warrant any gathering of that nature, especially in the community. But they thought that once this is not happening in the community, it is happening at the riverside where less people will be around, and those who even came, they tried to practice some sort of social distancing. It's not something that they needed a police support or police permit before they could go ahead with today's exercise. But they went ahead, and at the riverside, they managed to slaughter the sheep, poured libation to invite curses on anybody who will have a hand or attempt to disqualify the two parliamentary aspirants. And a while ago, I met at least 5 police officers on motorbike who have been detailed to ensure sanity here. But unfortunately, they came at a time that the group of people have dispersed here in Nobuam, in the Dwabe municipality.
And just a quick one before you go, Hemin. I know that in the Ashanti region, there's a certain ban on invoking curses of that nature in the region by traditional authorities there. Does this qualify, and what will be the consequence for them?
It is too early to be talking about the consequences that will be available for these group of MPP supporters. And I must say, this is not the first time we are witnessing this. Prior to the 2008 elections, yes, I remember the then NDC regional chairman, Nana Ohene Ajekum, invited journalists and in the front of cameras invoked curses on anybody who will attempt to steal the elections for the MPP then. Fast forward in 2012 elections, there was a similar incident at the Bantama constituency NPP office where 2 people dressed traditionally came in there, poured libation, and also invoked curses on anybody who would machinate or try to rig the election in favor of the then National Democratic Congress administration. And now we are seeing this. Yes, traditionally, there's a ban on curses, invocation of curses in general. The Asantehene Otumfo Osetutu abhors such a practice. But nonetheless, there are people, especially politicians, who have taken advantage, even in the face of the ban, to invoke curses when they are not supposed to do this. So we'll be finding out from the traditional authority, especially this is on the land of the Josomai Hine and then the Dwabe Hine. We'll try and find out from them what these actions mean to the traditional authorities and what they intend doing about this whole scenario here.
Well, Hemin, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed with the situation at the Dwabe constituency, where some young people are not happy with a certain decision by the party to disqualify 2 parliamentary aspirants there who are contesting the incumbent member of parliament for the area. We'll be following up closely on this, and we'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. But the new patriotic party's conflict resolution committee is dealing with at least 78 petitions it has received from concerned and aggrieved members ahead of its primaries in 168 constituencies. The party's director of election told Roland Walker on the AM show that these petitions are being dealt with. The leadership of the NPP is making sure primaries are organized with strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols to safeguard the health of delegates.
Help a party to go opposition, like you have Mr. Seydou Ketiana in opposition. He's working so hard, but then in opposition. But I think he's working hard to be considered as the running mate, and he deserves it. He has worked so hard for the party.
I would want you, crave your indulgence, if you have the list of the 170...
The list of?
The contestants.
Oh, 371, I think.
Huh?
371.
371 contestants, okay. If you have a breakdown of those going unopposed, aspirants, etc., and you take me through, I'll be happy.
I'll crave your indulgence that you have that immediately on Monday.
All right. But there are key important issues that we have to look forward to. I have to ask your good self, how has coronavirus then thrown out of the woods or out of line or out of gear what the intended plans were, and how you had to adjust?
Yes, although intents and purposes, our primaries would have been held on April 25, 2020. But because of Corona and then the lockdown, we had to go through the observance of the protocols. The party decided that we reorganize. So the arrangement is that today is on the 6th, on the 5th of June. We have only 15 days to do our primary. That tells the shortness of time. Mind you, at the close of nomination for the presidential primaries, we had His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the sole candidate. The National Council of the party, which is the second highest decision-making body, has endorsed him as a flag bearer. And it will interest you to know that the very day he submitted his forms, he informed the party leadership that when he's endorsed by the party, he will go into the 2020 elections with his Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia. And last Thursday, it was a very delightful sight to watch that he's thanking the party for allowing him to go into the elections with his Vice President for the 4th time. They were in there 2008, they were there 2012, 2016, and going into 2020. It tells you the working relationship between the two. And I think I'm not surprised. That's how Ghana is receiving this kind of commendation across the globe. It's been tough. We've not been able to respond to all our pronouncements looking back 2016, but we are still working hard.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsdesk. It's time for Tech Talk, and Kobe is back here in the studio. Kobe, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So what's up for Tech Talk today?
So Elon Musk is in the news. SpaceX, last week they successfully launched their first crew into orbit, and they've docked at the International Space Station. And I mean, this is good news because America always used to rely on Russia to send astronauts to space. And can you guess how much it costs to fly to space?
No, I just don't want to guess. You tell me.
Okay, so a seat costs $80 million.
Woo.
Yeah, so America has been paying Russia $80 million to fly per seat, take someone to space.
Wow.
Yeah, and now SpaceX by Elon Musk has been able to take some astronauts to space. They've docked at the ISS, and yeah, it's good news for the United States.
How is Russia reacting to this, though?
Well, it's a wake-up call for them that, hey, they've been enjoying their monopoly for a long time, and someone is getting into their space, so they have to up their game a bit and compete with the private sector. I mean, it used to be the National Space Agency, NASA.
Yeah.
It used to be NASA. Now you've gotten private players like SpaceX coming in who are really pushing boundaries to get to space and back. You know, that's what Elon Musk's plan is, to the extent that even Tom Cruise wants to act a movie in space, and SpaceX is going to be the one to help him achieve this.
Wow. So, I mean, what are the benefits for the US and, you know, generally speaking?
Basically, they're not going to pay $80 million to $90 million. It's going to be like $50 million now. And you know, there's this whole secrecy thing behind whatever is happening amongst all those people. So yeah, US gets to develop their own system, and maybe other countries who want to go to space can now rely on SpaceX or the United States, and that means revenue for them.
So what would be assessment of the private sector now playing in that space and how it's going so far?
Well, this is Elon Musk. He's proven to be quite resourceful and quite a game changer. We've seen what he's done with electric cars. We've seen what he's done with all other technology. So him going into the space, you know, race, as it may, it means that, yeah, it could really push the boundaries of space travel as we knew it and make it probably commercial, so people could then start flying to space. So maybe next time when you want to go for a honeymoon, literally, you can go and have it on the moon.
That sounds good. But what will be the impact of this also for technology? I mean, how would it revolutionize any technological development?
Well, with space, I mean, space technology has driven a lot of tech innovation in the world, because space tech is like the best of the best. You know, everything has to be top notch. So it's that technology that trickles down to us, the consumers. I mean, the internet was military, you know, use and stuff like that before we finally got to use it as the layman. So anything that happens in space, anything that pushes the boundaries of technology in space, then trickles down to us. So it means that it accelerates development in technology.
Great stuff there, Kobe. Anything else happening in the world of tech?
Yes. Well, we just did say right now that they're going to space, but the next flights that the US is going to space is not going to be by SpaceX, unfortunately. They're still going to have to rely on Russia. So Russia is going to chop one last $90 million before SpaceX becomes mainstream. And if you're listening to us, there's a wallpaper out there for Android users, and you shouldn't download it and set it on your wallpaper. You probably heard that it's killing Android phones.
Really?
Yes.
I've not heard about that.
So there's a wallpaper, and it's very nice. It's a picture that I was taking of a sunset, you know, across a certain lake and everything. And apparently when you set it as a wallpaper on your phone will crash. An Android phone, that is.
How does that work?
Okay, so it's very complicated how that works, but I'll simplify it. Basically, your phone can display a certain color gamut, that's a certain color space, and this photo was taken beyond that color space. So it's showing so much colors, and there's one pixel, when we say pixel, probably just like this tiny little dot in that picture that oversteps the boundary of the color space that the phone can display. And because it's set as a wallpaper, whenever the phone tries to display that wallpaper, it crashes.
Okay, so I don't quite understand. Maybe we would need some more time for you to display it for us on our screen, and then we can. But the caution is that don't put it up on your phone.
If someone sends it to you, it's a nice wallpaper. It looks like a sunset in a, you know, across a lake. Don't set it.
All right, so that's the question there for you. Kobe, thank you very much. It's always good to have you back. It's now time for Business. Darryl Kwao is standing by. Please stay.
Good morning, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is asking government to, as a matter of urgency, fix challenges regarding clearing of goods at the ports and bring operations there to normalcy with the enhanced efficiency that was promised the business community. This week has been frustrating for importers as well as freight forwarders and clearing agents who are encountering difficulties with the new port management system, Unipass. GUTA is also worried traders are having to bear the cost of demurrage and rent costs because of the delays. Dr. Joseph Obeng is president of GUTA.
We come in to appeal to government to find out whatever the problem is, to ratify it so that we can do our business in time. Because the delays cause a lot cost us a lot in terms of demurrage payments and then the rent charges as well. And especially when it is not our fault, the problems that is being created, then we will ask who bears the cost. Who bears the cost? Is it us or government or what authority? That's what we are trying to avoid. That whatever problem it is, it should be solved so that we do not get the, because if this problem persists into next week, it means that those new goods that are coming are also going to compound with what is happening this week and all that. It means that the problem is going to be very big. So the earlier we solve it, the better, so that we do not create any problem. What I do not understand is that this thing is becoming perennial. Anytime that we are migrating into new system, this thing happens. What lessons are we learning? From time immemorial, this is what has been happening. And so this particular one, we try to seek if this thing is not going to reoccur. And we knew that pilot programs have been established and all that. So this is the least that we are expecting to happen.
Now, General Secretary of the Agric Workers Union, Edward Carraway, is urging that the lapses within the food value chain are fixed in order to control the hikes in food prices. The prices of food commodities have increased over the past few months, although there is sustained supply. Much of that has been blamed on the recent lockdown, but analysts are also pointing to other contributory factors.
There must be a free flow of what is produced to the consumer. And we have, over the years as a country, failed to address these structural challenges. So that is why you continue to find out that if you talk about the northern region, there is so much maize in the northern region. Yet poultry farmers down within the Accra cannot even get that particular maize. You talk about watermelon in the Volta region, yet the price in Accra is prohibitive. It's because there's supposed to be a smooth connection between the production to the consumer. Now, how do we bring watermelon from Volta region to Accra? By what mode of transport? There is a disorganization of these different parts of agricultural production. You know, production is incomplete until it reaches the final consumer.
Right.
And we are not paying particular attention to that simple theory, which we now need to practicalize to make sure that whatever is produced, we quickly move it to where it is most needed.
Right.
We don't have those structures in place, or even where they are disorganized.
Right.
For instance, we are talking about fuel prices going down. That does not necessarily mean that transport prices will go down. That does not mean that if you are a transporter and you are hiring a vehicle either from Accra or from Volta region, for instance, to convey the watermelon to Accra, it is going to be cheaper.
Right.
It will not necessarily be just because fuel prices have come down. It will not necessarily be. You need to make conscious efforts and make those structural challenges addressed.
The news continues after this break. Thanks for watching the business segment.